Hey YouTube, I'm Anthony.
I'm Monica.
And we're the cooks. Okay, so this is going to be part 2 to how not to fall into temptation. How not to be tempted. I don't know what the title of it is going to be. But it's basically how not to fall into temptation, how to be able to be strong in your marriage, and how to remain faithful in your marriage. Okay, so one of the things that we instantly thought about was, because Monica mentioned in one of her last videos, she said, ladies, even though I wear a wedding ring, men still flirt with her. I mean, look at her. Dang, she's hot. So now, thank you, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a couple of tools. Tool number 1. Tool number 1 is this. A wedding ring. Iced out nicely. Wedding ring. Huge. You know why my wedding ring is so huge? Because she bought me a huge wedding ring. I said, why is my wedding ring so nice? This is nicer than any birthday present you ever gave me. And she said, because you're a way better husband than you are a person. I don't know what that means, but I took it as a compliment. And so let's talk about your wedding ring. Not just the actual ring, but the symbolism of it. And so when you start talking about ways to be able to remain faithful, there are groups and organizations out there that represent themselves with rainbows. There are groups and organizations that are out there that represent themselves with the Jewish cross.
Yes.
Yeah. There are people out there that represent themselves with certain things. One of the things that we use as a married couple to be able to represent and show our marriage pride is our wedding rings. Our wedding rings. So now, does a wedding ring make you faithful? No. Does it stop you from cheating? No. Does it stop people from flirting with you? No. Does it stop you from flirting? No. It really doesn't. When I was in 7-Eleven, I don't know if you saw the other video, but in that video, I spoke to the women that were in there, and I told them about how I'd been faithful my entire marriage and how I loved my wife and how I was committed to her and all of this other stuff. And they looked at me and they were like, you know, how are you able to remain committed and faithful? And I told her all of the things that I do and how I don't put myself in unnecessary jeopardy or temptation and things like that. And so I left, and when I left 7-Eleven, I had my eyeglasses, and I left my eyeglasses on the counter. And so I left and I thought about it and I drove back. When I drove back and I walked into 7-Eleven, the girl was like, oh, here are your sunglasses. I was like, oh, I mean, your glasses. I was like, oh, thank you. So there was a woman that was in 7-Eleven, and she looked at me and she said, oh, my goodness. She probably said, oh, my God. But she said, oh, my goodness, your eyes are so beautiful. I was like, okay, thank you. And she had hazel eyes also. So I was like, oh, well, thank you, you know. And I said, you know, your eyes are nice, too. And so compliment for compliment. And so I get ready to leave. She was like, can I ask you one more question? I said, yeah. And she said, and I was like, okay. So she walked up on me. And when she walked up on me, she was like, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. I said, what? She said, I was looking to see if you had a big old rock on your hand. I wanted to see if you were married. And I was like, I am. Very, extremely. So I got ready to leave. When I was leaving, I was listening to the conversation that the 7-Eleven workers and ladies were having on her, and they were like, yeah, you know, he's, you know, we know him, and he's always talking about his wife, and he's always talking about his marriage, and he's always talking about commitment. They even have a YouTube channel where they talk about marriage. The thing about it is this. I didn't have to defend myself, and I didn't have to speak up for myself, because the people who were around me know how I feel about marriage. They know how I think about marriage, and they know how I portray myself as a husband. And so it was mighty funny to me that right after I finished defending marriage, talking about what, you know, how I was faithful to my wife and how I love my wife and all this other kind of stuff, the devil put me in a position to whereas there was a woman instantly who was flirting with me, and I could have negated everything that I had just told those women by flirting back with that woman or saying something out of line and all this other kind of stuff. So by taking yourself and putting yourself in a position to whereas you portray yourself a certain way. Fellas, when people meet your wife, they should already know about your wife.
And for the women, same thing.
When you introduce your spouse to somebody of the opposite sex that you know, they should already know who your spouse is and how you feel about your spouse.
Yes.
Yes? So in other words, you shouldn't be keeping it a secret. So,
not even keeping it a secret, pretending.
Pretending. And when...
Living by that saying, what you don't say.
Yeah. When you start talking about your wedding ring, your wedding ring does not stop you from cheating. It does not make you faithful. But what it does is it opens up a door for you to be able to close the door. So what ends up happening is a guy walks up to you and says, hey, you're smoking hot. I don't know how to really flirt with somebody other than my wife. Hey, you're smoking hot. I've been checking you out across the grocery store all day. Oh, I see that you're married. Yes, I am. To a wonderful man.
Yes.
Kind of closes some doors, right? Oh, you're married? Are you happy? Yes, I am. Extremely happy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for asking. Even if you're not. If you're married and you're working on your marriage and you want your marriage to be successful and you've said to yourself, you know what, I'm committed to my marriage and I want to see my marriage succeed and I want to remain faithful, even if you're not in a successful marriage now, but that's what you're working towards, when that man comes up to you and says, oh, I see that you're married, are you happy? Say yes.
Start speaking what you expecting.
Speak what you expect. Work out until you see something happens.
Yep.
Speak good about your marriage until you see something happen.
Yeah.
So one of the very first ways is brag on your marriage. Brag on your marriage, because what it does is it puts you on a level to whereas you're held accountable by everybody that's around you. And if you want your marriage to be successful, I want my marriage to be successful. And so because of that, any woman that knows me knows that I'm married, that I love my wife, that I'm faithful, that I'm committed, that I'm into my marriage. And so what ends up happening is that it puts me in a place to whereas I'm held accountable by others. Held accountable by others. And that's what you want. You want to be held accountable by others. You don't want to portray yourself as a single person. You don't. So if you're walking around without your wedding ring on, what you're doing is you're portraying yourself as a single person.
And a lot of times people don't talk about their marriages because they don't want to be held accountable to their actions. Because, a lot of times you're plotting to cheat before you cheat. So you don't talk about your spouse. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go into like Facebook. If I look on your Facebook and I don't see pictures of you and your husband, I don't see
relationship.
I don't even see a relationship. I don't see a marriage. What is that telling me? As if I was single or I was the type of person that was looking to break up marriages, and I look on your Facebook, I know you're married, but your Facebook isn't saying that.
Yeah.
You're opening up doors.
So what you're doing is you're portraying yourself as a single person.
Yes.
If you have marriage pride, others will have marriage pride. If you're proud of your spouse, if you're proud of your relationship, if you're proud of your marriage, others will do the same. They will hold your marriage on a high level. And fellas, I'm going to be honest with you. That woman that's cheating with that's not cheating with you. That woman that's flirting with you. That woman that's enticing you. That woman that wants you to cheat on your wife with her. Honestly, she doesn't want you. She doesn't. That guy that's trying to get you to cheat on your husband, that's trying to break up your marriage.
Who will walk up in the church.
Yeah. He doesn't want you. You know what he wants to do? He wants to be able to say that he was the one who ended up getting you.
Yeah.
And fellas, if that lady is flirting with you and she's trying to get you to cheat with her, she doesn't respect you. She doesn't respect your marriage. And I'm going to tell you, if you flirt with her, if you cheat with her, you know what she's going to say? I knew it. He's just like all the others. He's just like all the others. What you've done is you've actually not only destroyed your relationship, but you've also destroyed future relationships for her. Because if you will cheat with her, then she's going to have it in her mind that all men are no good and all men cheat. That was one of the things that I ran into when I was talking to the ladies at 7-Eleven. When I was talking to them, they were under the misconception that all men cheat, that no men are good. And when they heard me talking about my wife and talking about my relationship and talking about being committed, to them, what that did was that inspired them to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I can meet somebody. Maybe I can be successful. So we're not just doing this YouTube channel to just give you advice and give you suggestions and give you tips and reminders of ways to strengthen and renew your marriage. We're trying to reach out there to the masses, to the ones who are married and the ones who are not married. And we want to show marriage pride. And if we show marriage pride in our marriage, if you show marriage pride in your marriage, what you do is you speak volumes to everybody that's around.
And another thing that I want to bring up is if a lot of times you have married people who say, well, my stuff is my stuff. My Facebook is my Facebook. My phone is my phone. You guys are supposed to be one. So if your wife or your husband can't pick up your phone at any given time, and I'm not even saying they're going to go through it, but I'm just saying if he asks me for my phone, I have no problems with giving him my phone. On Facebook, I have no problem with him going on my Facebook. If you are truly pure in what you are doing, then you shouldn't have a problem with your wife or your husband going in your purse. And I'm not saying to be nosy, but I'm just saying if they say, well, do you have $5? You shouldn't have a qualms with them going into your wallet or your purse to get $5 because you're afraid they're going to see something that shouldn't be there
in the first place.
Or the phone. You shouldn't be scared if they look at your phone, they're going to see something that could be misinterpreted as, anything other than what it is. So that's something to think about. That's a heart issue. You have to search your heart as far as your social media, your phone. What really is it, because you just feel like you have to have something that's yours, or are you hiding something?
And you know what? I can honestly tell you this. If you are keeping those things, and if you are keeping those secrets, and you have your privacy code set for your phone, and nobody else can have your code,
including your husband,
or you have emails that you don't want anybody to go into that email, or on your Facebook you're not showing any kind of marriage pride, I'm going to tell you that if you're doing those things, your spouse will not trust you. They can say that they trust you. They can say, oh, well, that's your stuff and this is my stuff. But honestly, what it does is it creates an air of distrust. And division. I'll tell you this. And I know we're trying to keep these short, but when I was in Korea and I was getting ready to leave, it was my last 2 weeks in Korea. And so I was at a barbecue, and I'm sitting there at the barbecue, and I'm eating my barbecue. And as I'm eating my barbecue, I look up, and standing in front of me are the 3 finest women on the base. I'm talking about, they are the women, fellas, you know what I'm talking about. Those women that guys sit around and talk about together and say, oh, they're unattainable. The 3 finest, most beautiful women on the base, they were friends, were all standing around me while I'm eating my barbecue. And I looked up and I'm like, yeah, what can I do for y'all? And they stood there and they said, we've been watching you this whole year that you've been here. And pretty much every guy on this base has cheated on their girlfriends, wives, fiancés, whatever. We want to know, what is it about your wife that makes you be 3,000 miles away from her and be faithful? I didn't drop a bean. I said, she trusts me. She trusts me. The end. I really didn't have much more than that. She trusts me. And so they were like, okay. And they got ready to walk away. And when they got ready to walk away, I said, also, she told me that when I came home, she would give me special treats. What that means, I don't know. But I was excited about the special treats. But what ended up happening was that those 3 women, those 3 women walked away from me, and they had a renewed faith in men. They had a renewed faith in men. And the thing about it was, the thing that made me able to be so strong and all of this other kind of stuff, if you want to call it strength, and be faithful that entire time that I was over there, was because my wife trusted me. And because of that, I didn't want to lose that trust. And I wasn't willing to damage that. That trust was something that had been built up over the course of time. It wasn't something that just happened overnight. And so if you're keeping a Facebook, and on your Facebook, it's your Facebook and your Facebook alone, and your relationship status says ask, or it's complicated or difficult, and it doesn't say married, if you are not shown, if there's no pictures of your wife, or very few pictures of your wife, or there's only pictures of you and your wife when y'all first got married, and or it's a group picture and she's standing somewhere in the background,
and you on there all the time,
if you have your phone and nobody can touch your phone, and when your phone rings, you get all scared and nervous and go run to grab it, what you've done is you've created an era of distrust.
Yes.
And when she's out and about, when you're out and about, and that person comes up and says, hey, I've been watching you across the grocery store all day.
Speak to that. No, I'm just kidding.
And they look at your wife's ring and they say, are you married? And your wife says, well, yeah, I'm married. Are you happy? I promise you, all of those things are going to run through her mind. All of those distrustful things. All of those things of, what would my husband say in this, when he's put in this position? Is he going to say, yes, I'm married and I'm happy? Yes, I'm going to, or is he going to say, well, here's my telephone number, but only text me from this time to this time, only call me from this time to this time, because we're just going to be friends. And so, YouTube, that was part 2 of how to resist temptation. Hopefully it'll help you. Hopefully it'll help you in your marriage. Hopefully it'll help you in your decision making. Hopefully it'll help you to build some trust. Hopefully it will help you to start to display some marriage pride if you're not already doing it.
And hopefully it'll help you not set yourself up for failure.
Set yourself up.
Because a lot of times we set ourselves up for failure. We do. No, you did.
Yes, I did.
You did.
So, YouTube, we're going to end this video. If you've watched the last videos and you understand what just happened, you understand what just 19 minutes.
I love you.
I love you too. Give me a kiss. YouTube, we love you guys. Questions, comment, ask, answer. If you ask us, we will answer. Always remember, 1
+ 1
= 1. All right, YouTube. Bye.
You see? Let's go.
You're not going to say bye?
Oh, fine. You'll take that out. I know you will. You love me. Okay, that was fun.